let's almost bring us back on topic a little bit. Blind spots.
Yeah.
And I'm driving the old Wrangler, and I've got that beam that's right, that's right behind the driver's door there, which is a fantastic blind spot actually. And I've noticed it actually a couple times in the last week, where I've done the little bit of shoulder check, I've done the mirror check, and there's no vehicle there, and then I start to go into to move over, and oh no, lo and behold, there was a vehicle there, literally right on that beam, and you don't see it.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, one time when I wouldn't mind having some of those sensors on my mirror or something, that little yellow light telling me that, hey, there's something in your blind spot. And I even did a shoulder check, but my shoulder hit the beam, right? I'm looking over and the beam is there. The car's right there.
Yeah.
I was
driving from on the main road past Dragon Mart, and I was following a friend, and we were only going to the Tashiel government officers, and he was in a Q7, and he signalled 5-6 seconds previously, and then he'd pulled out and nearly hit the car, and it was clearly in his blind spot. And when we got there, he said, "Oh, did you see me pull out on the car?" I said, "I was like, yeah, I saw you, mate. I just figured you'd not looked." He was like, "No, I was looking." He said, "No, I'm sure I looked over on my shoulder, I just couldn't see." He said, "I never realised there was such a blind spot on this car." And you don't realise, because it's the roads are busy here.
Yeah.
But most people, you might pull out. I mean, this was literally sort of, we're talking a few centimetres away from hitting.
Really? Okay, that's close.
Like most people would pull out, and maybe they don't leave much of a gap or something.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of it's small odds to do that. So most people don't actually realise how bad the blind spot is.
Yeah.
And it's not until we notice it getting in and out of the workshop. So if you're reversing onto a ramp or getting in and then reversing out of the ramp or whatever it is, you notice and you get very aware of where and what you can't see.
Yeah. And
the transport vans, they're quite difficult.
Sure.
Because the mirrors physically can't be big enough to give you you're trying to get a bit of the back of the van in for perspective, but then you don't get any width on the view. So they can be quite testing. And it took DJ a while when he came here to get used to the blind spot that you have.
Well, the other one is, forget that, so you got you got the blind spot looking over your shoulder, and you don't realize how many they are. And I sometimes wonder if the automotive designers now are banking on all the sensors.
Secondary thought.
Yeah,
100%.
So the idea that I'm going to actually look, you're never going to look, because you're just going to use you're going to let the onboard system do the job.
100%.
So we can make it look a little more cooler or whatever, because we're going to obstruct stuff. But the other side is, it's not just that shoulder check, it's how much space do I have in front and behind?
Yeah.
And the mirrors, that's when I really want to have those backup sensors with the little thing and the red line, so I know I'm backing up. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many times I'll pull in and do a parallel park, and I'm looking in the mirror, and then I'm looking behind. It's like, oh man, how far am I to hitting the little front, because the top of the car is scooped down, got my spare tire there. How far am I? How close am I? And you're nudging back, and you don't really want to nudge the car, because the person might be in it, and then they're going to get out and be angry. And they're going to say, "Oh, did you scratch my vehicle?" I was like,
you only get one of those reversing mirrors that they have on the back of the minibuses.
Yeah.
I
need one of those.
Parallel to the ground, so you get there, and you can see directly down on the top. Actually, one of Colin's...
They look ugly, but man, they're great value.
Yeah, one of Colin's Sprinters has got... It was an ex-FedEx delivery van, and that's got the camera system with the screen on the dashboard from the factory. Yeah. So the big... self-contained camera in the back that looks directly down onto the bumper, so you can see what you're reversing back to.
That's pretty.
Which is quite good for a thing that big.
Yeah.
Because where you can, even if driving it and reversing it into spaces for a million times, you never really grasp. Have I got enough space?
Yeah, exactly. Until you hit something, and then
because most people are driving that for work and then driving a car home.
Yeah.
See then.
And you start to notice it. I noticed it twice yesterday. One, I saw a delivery truck with the back windows blown out, which made me think you backed into something.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit of a dent on the back doors, but it's like, what did you back into that you didn't realize you were so close? And then you were pushing and you didn't realize, you thought there was, boom. And I saw my exact nightmare of hitting the front of some vehicle when I'm backing in. that clearly something had run over the front because it had crushed a little bit of the bumper, and it looked like hell.
I would say a fair percentage, 5 or 10% even maybe, of our bodywork repairs that we get are people saying that. Now, whether they're saying this to protect their credibility as a driver or not, I don't know, but they get back to the car and say it's been damaged and nobody's left any details. You know, it happens a lot because there's not many places you can go that you need to go that you can park simply and easily,
Right.
unless you're going to go Dubai Mall straight to the roof or over the road into the Zabil bit.
Yeah.
You know, most of the malls and most of the government offices and most of them, they're popular places, so the parking's always full or almost full, and you've got to squeeze in somewhere.
Oh, there's that one plaza. Speaking of squeezing in, trying to get out, there's the one plaza on Jumeirah Beach Road, right by La Mer, and it's a little pink. I think it's the pink one or whatever it is. Jumeirah Mall, I think it's called.
Okay, yeah.
But it's so it's not Mercado. It's and you can park underneath. I'm sure it was pink at one time. It might even be pink now. And you can park underneath.
Oh, the Village or something.
Yeah. No, on the other side of the road from that one
okay.
and further back up. So it has a Burger King, I think, in the base floor of it. And there used to be a uniform store there. There's not. Anyway, there's a little Ace in it, if that gives you any sense. A little micro Ace. Anyway, good luck in getting out of that. And so every time I'm leaving, and you got to make the turn to come out of the underground parking, all you see is black marks on the wall. And I'm just going, I can see how that could happen because I'm coming out and I'm just, I'm trying to really get it close up on the driver's side. So I'm looking at my side in the mirror so I can see it. I'm going, man, I'm really close to hitting this wall.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
Yeah, the weird ones actually, when you go into JLT and you go down underneath the towers, you're on the wrong side of the road.
Oh.
The way the spiral goes round, you're on the wrong side of the road, and that takes some getting used to. Now, they're not overly tight, but it's still...
Yeah.
It takes some getting used to.
Yeah. So it's crazy.
Yeah, but blind spot assist and stuff like that's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Like 15, maybe probably 20 years,
Yeah.
self-park and all that stuff. And we saw a bad example on the Nautilus that we tested.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
The self-park just didn't work.
No.
I can say from using it for 12 years, the Volkswagen one that first came on, the Tiguan, around 2008, works very, very well for self-park. And there's 2 generations of it. So the first one was just for parallel parking. In the UK, we had a problem because it was designed to pick up the cars and then pick up the curb edge. So as it picked up a gap, it would pick up the curb edge to recognise the depth and then the gap and then the next car, and then it'd figure out and you just control the brake. If it was a manual, you'd control the clutch. Now, in the UK, with rain, getting on the sensors, with fallen leaves in all year round, they'd build up, and then the people that think it's great to throw litter on the floor, and they'd blow up eventually over to the curb, and then it'd pick up the wrong, and then you'd find, I'm like 3 feet into the road here.
Yeah.
So that was always a problem. But the second generation one had parallel park and bay park, so you could park into a bay forward or reverse, and it'd pick those up and it'd reverse you in or whatever. But you could press the button again when you got back in the car, and it would drive you out of the space.
That's kind of cool.
Which is a good idea.
Yeah.
A very good idea. And one of the reasons it got put on the Passat for Japan only, where you could remote park it. So you'd get out the car, press the remote, and it would park because the spaces were so tight. Yeah. And then you command it out, and then you could open the door and get in and drive off, which was a great idea. And they've been doing it for a long time, and it's worked really well. But people do take it for granted. Yeah. And the amount of the concrete stoppers at the front. Nobody with any kind of sport pack or sporty vehicle can get into a space without the bumper touching it, and if you go too far over it, it'll rip it off on the way out. Yeah. So people take it for granted. The only ones that are very good at picking that up are the Porsche stuff. But then a bit of a caveat to that is the fact that sometimes as you're going in slow traffic, as the sensors turn on automatically at low speed,
Oh no.
then it's picking the road up, or you go to a speed bump and it picks a speed bump, so you're driving down the road and it's just beeping at you all the time.
Yeah.
So there's positives and negatives to it.
One of the things that always worries me is you got the sensors, as you said. They can. I don't know. I was driving a Micra or something back in Canada at one point, and it was covered. The camera was covered in snow, so it was useless. And I'm just thinking, what a bad design, like where they put this thing. But I'm also thinking in the bumper, all the technology is wired through that bumper. So if you mishap and back into something or someone crushes your bumper, it can have an impact on all your sensors.
So the blind spot assist on, let's take a Q5 as an example, the sensors, the radars are in the back bumper, so that will pick up the vehicle in your blind spot. So if somebody hits your back bumper, done. And the bumper repair might get repaired, but then the position of the radar is wrong. And if it's sufficiently wrong enough that it gives you a fault, then okay. But if it isn't sufficiently wrong enough, the position of it, you might just not have it working properly and not know. Right. So then it's not actually giving you a warning at the right time. So, and it's quite a job to set those up, really.
I would imagine. Like, how do you do that? Like, where do you get the training to do that as well? Like, that's an after course. That's like professional development.
That's something you do. I mean, obviously VW we use the Q5 as an example. We had the training, we had obviously the wheel alignment rig, and we would use that with, we used to call it a domino board, because all it was a black board with black dots on it, a white board, sorry, with black dots on it. And then the camera would pick that, the sensors would pick that up, and you would position it, set the measurements as spec, and then recalibrate effectively what it's looking for. But I haven't got the domino board.
No. So, and if you go to the Volkswagen dealer here, I mean, they must have it.
Yeah, they'll have it, and
are they going to let you use it? No.
They'll have it, and they'll let you use it. But this is why I would say we get. I'd be lying if I thought it was more than a couple of % of people that say they've got a problem with their blind spot that we actually end up repairing, because they don't want to pay the price. The cost is crazy, and it's normally failed when the car's 5, 6, 7 years old.
Right.
So then is it worth the 10K for something you've not had for a while?
10K, that much?
Can be, yeah. If you need a radar head, or if it's bent behind the bumper and that's the reason, you've got the body repair plus the radar head plus the setting up and calibration. So it could be.
That's insane. Yeah. That's, wow.
Yeah.
So that's always something that it's always on my mind with all these plastic and molded bumpers. It's just the potential for more damage. It's not just going to Bondo and fix the bumper, make it look good, all the junk in behind it. And that's what I saw with these cars today. 2 of them, probably the same owner, hit the same thing. The molding was broken. I could see wires sticking out. And I'm just going, oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, I got the sort of, it's always unnerving when a vehicle gets picked up, the customer picks the vehicle up at, like, say 3 o'clock, and then at 4:15 you're getting a phone call from the same customer, and it's like, oh no, what's happened?
Yeah.
What have I forgotten? What did I not do that he'd asked me to do and I'd forgotten about, or whatever? And then you answer the phone, and it's like, yeah, how you doing? Everything all right? Oh, I'm really angry, and it's like, okay, yeah, I've just got home and car's great, everything's fine, I've just gotten home and hit the wall reversing in. Excellent. Thanks, at least it's nothing I've done.
Yeah, it's like,
the less selfish side of me is, okay, all right, no problem, send me some pictures, I'll figure out what it'll be to fix. We've got a car in for that at the moment, and
there's nothing worse than that.
what can you do?
Well,